Hi, and welcome to this video where we will be going over the image adjustment option of curves and how we can adjust curves to change the image's tonal range. So to get to the curves option, we'll go to Image, Adjustments, and we will go to the Curves menu here. So we'll click on that to pull up the Curves menu. In curves, you can see that the image's tonality is represented as a straight diagonal line on a graph. When you adjust using the RGB image, which red, green, blue is what that stands for, the upper area of the graph represents the highlights of the image, and the lower part of the graph represents the shadows. So the horizontal axis of this graph represents the input levels and the original image values, and the vertical axis represents the output levels. So that's not really something that you really need to remember right now, other than I'm going to show you how to play with these curves. You can add control points to this line and then start to move the line. So I might be able to click on this line and add a dot, and I'm going to click here and add a dot. The steeper sections of the curve represent areas of higher contrast, while flatter sections, right here, this curve, represent areas of lower contrast. So what I can do is now that I've clicked on the line and added those kind of nodules that I can adjust, I can click and start dragging this line to do what I would like. You can use this menu to make very small changes to the picture in terms of the color. You can work on the lighter and darker parts of the image. It's a really flexible tool, but one that can be easily overdone. So I'm going to click reset because it was too dark, but I kind of liked what I was adding with some of the contrast and the popping of the color. So that's something you can do with this tool, is kind of just give it a little bit of a pop sometimes with an S curve a little bit. So I can maybe drag this one down just a little bit to kind of pop some of that color. I'm going to up this one a little bit. I don't want it too much. So see, when I pulled that up, it just made the brighter stuff right there even brighter. And when I pulled this down, it just added those greens. Like now they're popped a little bit more. Those greens are a little bit darker, a little bit more saturation. So I think that's a little bit more what I'm going for. I want to just do a little bit of subtle change from this curve line instead of doing, huge adjustments to it. I can also add more dots to this to keep parts of the original line there, and then just adjust pieces of this line. So as I just pull in and out this middle line, you can see different things that it's doing. I kind of liked it. I don't want it too dark. Look at her face. It's kind of red when I pulled it down there. So I want to pull it up just a little bit. I think I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to press OK. And let's do this. Let's click back in the history. You can see that it's a little bit flatter, a little bit less contrast in this image, but because I adjusted it with curves, now you can see I've added a little pop of color to her pants, to the green of the plants, to the red of the barn. Let's do that one more time. The before, going back in the history, and the after.